The blind date was empty, until little twin girls walked in. I checked my watch for the third time in as many minutes. The small cafe was buzzing with the usual Friday night crowd, the hum of conversations mingling with the clink of coffee cups. But my table remained empty. A blind date, a setup by a well-meaning friend, had me sitting alone under a flickering pendant light, stirring my latte with more anxiety than sugar. I sighed. Maybe he'd forgotten. Maybe it was a sign I should just leave. Just as I was about to text my friend a frantic message, the cafe door swung open. Two little girls, no older than 6, tiptoed in, each clutching a stuffed animal. They paused in the doorway, scanning the room, before locking eyes with me. "My daddy's sorry he's late," one said, tugging the other's hand toward my table. I blinked. "Oh, he's here?" The girls nodded solemnly. "He had to help someone," the other added, a hint of pride in her voice. I laughed softly. "Well, that's really sweet of him." They slid into the chairs across from me, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The oldest twin reached into her little backpack and pulled out a crumpled napkin. "He told us to give you this," she said, handing it over. Unfolding the paper, I found a tiny doodle of a sun and a note. "Sorry I'm late. Daddy had to make sure everyone was okay. He'll be here soon." I looked up, curious, and that's when he appeared. A man in his mid-30s, slightly out of breath, carrying an umbrella in one hand and a grocery bag in the other. Behind the tired eyes I saw a warmth, a quiet steadfastness. "I'm so sorry to keep you waiting," he said, kneeling down to greet the girls, "but someone needed help, and I couldn't say no." The twins erupted in giggles, climbing into his lap as he kissed their heads. I watched amazed, as the layers of his character unfolded before me. Not the rehearsed charm of a typical blind date, but the honest, everyday heroism of someone who cared enough to put others first. We ordered coffee together. Conversation flowed easily, first polite, then warm. I learned about his work at a local community center, helping families in crisis, how he balanced his life between responsibilities and making sure his daughters felt loved. I told him about my own hectic schedule, the lonely stretches of life, and we both laughed at the shared exhaustion that comes from trying to do right by others. Halfway through, the twins decided to play hide-and-seek around the cafe, their laughter ringing like bells. I watched them, thinking how unusual it was to meet someone who so effortlessly embodied kindness, patience, and compassion, not just in words, but in every action. The night ended with me walking out of the cafe, a little lighter, a little more hopeful. The blind date that had started empty became a moment full of humanity, reminding me that sometimes love isn't about perfection. It's about generosity, empathy, and showing up, even when the world is busy. As we waved goodbye, the twins shouted, "See you next time, Mommy's friend." I smiled, realizing that some of life's most meaningful connections come when you least expect them, often carried in the small hands of those who see the world simply and purely. And in that small, fleeting evening, I understood something important. Kindness is magnetic, selflessness unforgettable, and the heart has a way of recognizing the right people, even if they arrive fashionably late. As the weeks went by, our little Friday night meetups became a tradition. The twins would arrive first, each waving enthusiastically from the doorway, and I'd greet them with hugs and questions about school, drawing, or their latest adventures. They were little bundles of energy and honesty, the kind of children who remind you that joy can be found in the smallest things: an extra scoop of ice cream, a shared joke, or a surprise drawing left on the table. Their dad, whose name I learned was Mark, would come a few minutes later, often apologizing again for running late. But by now, the late arrivals had become part of the charm. I came to expect them, even look forward to them. The girls, scurrying to me with news. Mark explaining with a quiet grin how he had helped a neighbor, a stranger, or a family in need. Each story revealed a man who had made kindness his habit, even when no one was watching. One evening, as we sat on the cafe's tiny patio under strings of twinkling lights, I noticed Mark watching me quietly, a little uncharacteristically. "You know," he said after a pause, "when I set up that blind date with you, I wasn't sure it would even work. But seeing you with the girls, it's like you've already become part of our world. They talk about you every day." I laughed, trying to hide the sudden flutter in my chest. I never thought I'd be the kind of person kids like that immediately warm up to. "They're smart," Mark said softly, "and they know a kind heart when they see one." It hit me then that this was more than a blind date, more than a casual connection. Somehow, through laughter, shared stories, and genuine presence, we had built a small unspoken family around kindness. I realized that the night of the empty table wasn't a mistake. It was a quiet invitation to witness humanity at its best. Later, as the twins chased fireflies in the fading light, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known in years. It wasn't about romantic perfection or grand gestures. It was about showing up, being present, and allowing kindness to guide our choices. That was the magic Mark and his daughters carried everywhere, quiet, persistent, and transformative. And as we walked home that night, the girls holding our hands between theirs, I understood something vital. Love often arrives on small, unexpected footsteps, not fanfare. It's measured in patience, generosity, and the courage to put others first. And sometimes, the most meaningful relationships begin not with a perfect plan, but with an empty table, a heartfelt apology, and two little girls who remind the world how to care. That night, I felt gratitude, not just for what had begun between Mark and me, but for the profound lesson the twins had quietly taught me. That humanity, in its purest form, is always noticed, always appreciated, and always capable of creating joy in the lives of others.